life suddenly explodes. You forget all the things that you were told. And if you think that it will stop you getting old, better think again.
Welcome back to AI. That's Artist Interview, not artificial intelligence. This is a show where, as the name suggests, we interview artists. Joining us today is singer-songwriter Gerry Farrow of the Gerry Farrow Band. Gerry, thank you for being with us today. How are you?
I'm really well, Nick. Thanks very much for having me. And how are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I have a series of questions for you. The goal of the show is to allow listeners a chance to get to know you a little more intimately, as well as for you to share any of your work or upcoming projects and new releases, that sort of thing. Some of which we will showcase between questions.
Cool.
My first question is, who is Gerry Farrow?
Okay, who is Gerry Farrow? Well, you just explained some of it there. So I'm a singer, a songwriter, musician, performer, and producer as well, more recently. So I have a band, it's called the Gerry Farrow Band, but I've been in previous bands as well, one called Northeren, which I think we will come to. So the Gerry Farrow Band plays quite a bit around this area where I live. And it's really made up of a lot of old friends, good friends, people I've worked with and played music with for a lot of years. So a guy called Brian Rodwell on drums, Stuart Wood on percussion, Rob Bullock on lead guitar, and Andrew Cholton on bass. And they're all fantastic musicians, so we've been playing for quite some time together, not necessarily in this band, but going back to other bands. So yeah, I am originally I live in the UK, for those that are not in the UK here. And I'm originally from the north of England, around the Manchester area, a town called Oldham. But I moved from there, and I live now in what's called the East Midlands of the UK, which is around the cities of Derby, Nottingham, and Leicester. And I live here with my wife, Lynn, and our two daughters, Emmy and Eva.
Do you have any current projects going on, any shows or new releases?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, actually, Nick. So probably a bit too much, to be honest, but it's good to keep busy. Well, we got quite a few gigs coming up with the Gerry Farrow Band. We've got a gig on Friday with a band called Resonators, originally from Copenhagen in Denmark. So looking forward to that one on Friday. Anybody in the area, come along and see that. And we've kind of released quite a few songs over the last 18 months or so with the Gerry Farrow Band on the New Reality Records label. We've done about 8 so far. We've got one we're working on now, and maybe we'll do one more after that, and then we'll put that all on an album, and that will probably be sometime in the middle of next year. Also do some producing at the moment for another artist on the label, Emily Ralph. So she's a spoken word artist. We've done 4 tracks so far, and she just released one, the first one of those 2 or 3 weeks ago now, which is called Stuck. So go and check that one out, Emily Ralph, Stuck. And also just about to start releasing some songs that I've written with another local singer-songwriter, a guy called Rue Randall. So we got chatting at an event a couple of years ago and decided to write some songs together. So we've written 5 songs. It's taken us quite a while to record them, but the first one of those is coming out on December the 5th. It's called Feel This Way Again. So that's another little project we'll probably carry on writing. And then on top of that, I also play drums in a band called No Particular Poison, which is also on the label, and we just released the first single a couple of weeks ago called No Particular Poison, and just started a songwriting collective with the same guys out of that band. So hoping to sort of write some songs, not necessarily for our own use, but maybe for other artists. And then I'm working quite a bit with Paul Keneally on the label at the moment on New Reality, looking at we set up a website, and we're looking at doing some synchronization for the various artists on the label, try to make some money for the artists through sync deals. So yeah, quite a bit going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love Stuck, by the way.
Oh, great. Yeah, so do I.
Very fun. Just a quick question. Where is your show on Friday?
Yeah, so it's in a place called Northeren, which is very near to Loughborough, and it's in the Northeren Club, and it's on Friday night starting at 8:30.
Very cool. Okay, coming up, we have our first song, More and More by Northern Quarter.
More and more is what you want, you can't relax. You're busy missing everything. Face the truth, you're not the one they think you are. A strange effect, a bird defect. You know what you want. 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 Everything all of the time, you don't appear to understand. Some things take time. Can't let go of anything, the lesson's clear. To lose control is not a crime. You know what you want. You know what you want. You know what you want. You know what you want.
No one said it was a crime not to make up your mind. And don't beat yourself up if you can't make the cut. And don't stifle your tears, they've been welling up for years. And you scream and you shout, boy, just let it all out.
More, the holy grail is never found. Truth surrounds you every day. More, if you could try to understand the weight of everything you say. You know what you want. You know what you want. You know what you want. You know what you want.
No one said it was a crime not to make up your mind. And don't beat yourself up if you can't make the cut. And don't stifle your tears, they've been welling up for years. And you scream and you shout, boy, just let it all out. And don't waste all your time with the people who lie. And don't fill up your head with the things that they say. And don't open your eyes, what you see you despise. You breathe out, you breathe in, the world's turning again.
Finally, you set me free. You show me where I ought to be. The rules have changed, you broke my fall. And I don't need to have it all.
No one said it was a crime not to make up your mind. And don't beat yourself up if you can't make the cut. And don't stifle your tears, they've been welling up for years. And you scream and you shout, boy, just let it all out. And don't waste all your time with the people who lie. And don't fill up your head with the things that they say. And don't open your eyes, what you see you despise. You breathe out, you breathe in, the world's turning. No one said it was a crime not to make up your mind. And don't beat yourself.
So yeah, More and More. Northern Quarter was a band I was in for quite some time, 15 years or so, from about 2000 till about 2015. We made 3 albums, and we wrote all our own material. And this one, More and More, was one of the songs we used to play live. So I used to do a lot of songwriting, but also the lead singer for the band, Vicky Warburton, did some songwriting with me as well. So sometimes she would write the lyrics, or the melody, I would write the chords. And that's what happened on this song, More and More, was I wrote kind of the verses, she wrote the chorus. So it was a good collaboration, actually, on this one. On this one, always used to go down quite well live when we played it.
What's your earliest musical memory?
So Yeah, so like I said, I was brought up in Oldham in the north of England, and we didn't have a lot of music when I was very small in the house. And sadly, my dad had died quite early, when I was only 3 when he died, and my mum wasn't really into that music, so we didn't have any kind of record player or anything to listen to music on. But when I was about 10 or 11, our next door neighbours, Graham and Brenda, they decided to buy what was called a music centre in those days. So this was the kind of height of sophistication. It was basically like a piece of furniture, but incorporated a record player, a tuner, a radio, and a cassette player. And like I say, it was like a sideboard, basically. But the fact that they'd got this now meant that they gave to me and my sister their old record player. So it was one of those classic 1970s record players in the box, with a speaker on the front, a lid, and you could pile all the 7-inch singles on, and they would drop down one by one, and the needle would lift off. So I'm sure people from that era would remember those. But the great thing about this meant we had a record player, but also they gave us a whole bunch of 7-inch singles, which was fantastic because we hadn't had any music up until this point. And it was all Brenda's old songs that singles she'd bought when she was a teenager herself. And so it was a lot of music from the sort of mid-50s to the early 60s, sort of pre-Beatles 60s. And there was things like, there was a lot of Cliff Richard in there, but things that people might not know. I remember a song called D in Love. There's a song called Theme for a Dream, another one called I Love You. There was a record by Leapy Lee called Little Arrows. That was a bit later, I think, from the 60s. But it was just fantastic for me and my sister. We just basically listened to all these songs over and over again. We didn't really care what was the A-side and what was the B-side. We just listened over and over to these amazing songs. And there was one song in particular in there, which was Elvis Presley. And it was the A-side was The Girl of My Best Friend. But the B-side was a song called A Mess of Blues, which I really thought was a fantastic song. I just listened to it over and over and over. And I guess that was one of my first memories of really getting into music, listening to Elvis Presley and A Mess of Blues. Yeah.
What was the first record you ever bought with your own money?
With my own money, well, the first LP record I bought with my own money was Queen, A Day at the Races. And I still think that's a fantastic album. I don't have Queen's albums mainly. I've got 2 of their albums, A Day at the Races and News of the World. I didn't buy the rest of them, to be honest. I don't know why. But no, I still listen to A Day at the Races. It's the album that has Somebody to Love on it and Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. So some really good Queen songs on it.
Coming up on song 2, we have Said My Friend by Northern Quarter.
Said my friend on the left, where did you go? I said I'm still with you, got so far to go. What seemed lost is now found. What seemed dead has come around. The battle is long, the battle is slow. I don't have time for it no more. Said my friend on the right, Are you with us now? I said you can't count on me. I'll be your friend, but I don't agree. What seemed lost is now found. What seemed dead has come around. The battle is long, the battle is slow. I don't have time for it no more. There's just one thing in my life, and she just walked through the door.
This was on the very first Northern Quarter album, which came out in 2005. But actually, this song was written a long time before that, in 1990. So it's the oldest one of my songs that's out there on the internet, if you like. So that's why I chose this one. It's a very simple song. It's kind of about politics and kind of becoming less interested in politics when kind of women and love comes along. That's what it's about, but it's a simple song.
Take us through your songwriting process. Are you like a lyrics person first, or do you have like a feeling or like a concept and then you write around that? Or do you start with like a lick or chords?
Yeah, I very rarely start with lyrics. I do it very occasionally. There isn't one way that I do it, but I guess a lot of my songs are born in this kind of way. So it'd be a Saturday night. We'll have had a couple of drinks, glasses of wine. My wife will probably go to bed about 10:30. There's a TV program on in the UK on Saturday night called Match of the Day, which is a highlights of football from the day. So I'll be sitting there, glass of wine, watching the football with my guitar, and I'll be noodling away like you do. And sometimes something will come, sometimes it won't. But quite often to come up with something, I'll video it on my phone just to make sure I remember it the following day. And then if it's sounding okay the following day, I might try to put some words to it. There may have been some words that come just into your head as you're coming up with the chords, and that quite often happens. And sometimes you carry on down that path, or sometimes you change the words completely. And then when I was in my previous job, I was traveling a lot. So on a Monday, I would often be on the train or on the plane somewhere. So I would listen to it again and then try to write the lyrics on the flights to wherever, and then carry on with it the following weekend to see if it was working or not. And, when you're writing a song, the one you're currently writing is of course, the greatest song ever, until 2 or 3 days later when you realise, actually, it's not that good. And you either drop it or you continue with it. So probably 1 in 5 of those, or maybe a bit less than 1 in 5, until it makes it through to being a song.
What is something you've learned about yourself during the process of becoming who you are as an artist?
Well, I guess a couple of things, really. I guess I've learned not to give up too easily, or I've learned that I don't give up easily, whichever way you look at that. When I first started writing songs, I started writing songs when I was about 14, when I first got a guitar. And so I wrote songs all through my teen years and then all the way through my 20s. And it's true to say that all those songs were rubbish. and really didn't start writing anything good at all until I was in my 30s. So it was really, I learned about myself that I don't give up, or not to give up. And the other thing I've learned recently is that I'm probably at my best when I'm collaborating with others. kind of doing it on your own is the way I did it for a long time. But really, the best stuff comes when you collaborate with others. And I guess we'll come on to some of those examples.
Speaking of, up next we have Take Me With You by Gerry Farrow featuring Kelly Halloran.
Set in stone, nothing gives when you're alone. So long to see your face. No way out, nothing here to shout about. Not what I thought. Take me with you. I can't get there alone. Take my heart too. I need to get back home. State of mind, it's tough to leave your heart behind. My great mistake. Out of time, swallow my pride and toe the line. I'd have you anytime. Take me with you. I can't get there alone. Take my heart too. I need to get back home, home, home. Nothing's right. You know I don't sleep at night. Nothing flows from here. Nothing's changed. No, I still feel the pain. Nothing grows. I can't get there alone. Take my heart too. I need to get back home. Take me with you. I can't get there alone. Take my heart. It's time to get back home.
Yes, and I think this is a good example of the kind of collaboration I was just talking about. So Kelly Halloran is an American violinist, fiddle player, amazing player actually, by the way. And we met first in 2013, and I wrote this song in about 10 years ago actually. It was November 2015, and Kelly was visiting from the US to do some gigs in the UK. I played her this song. I'd just written it actually. I played it to her. She really liked it. And we went to do an open mic in London on a Wednesday evening. The following weekend, we were doing a gig in this area, Loughborough. She came up, and while she was here, we recorded it. But actually, we didn't release it until 2020, and that was just through sheer busyness of work. 2020 came along. We had COVID, which was not great, but it helped me to kind of get some of this music off my hard disk and into the streaming services. So we finally released it in 2020. But this song, on its own, it's an okay song, but with Kelly, with her string section, and she plays an amazing violin solo in the middle of it, it just sort of transforms the song really. This song, actually, I entered it in the UK songwriting competition, and it got to the regional final. So we must be doing something right on that one. But it comes back, I think, to kind of excitement of collaborating with others, and that just kind of drives you on a little bit, I think.
What are your top 4 albums of all time?
Yeah, so this was really, really difficult one, and they change from day to day. So what I try to do is to pick 4 that kind of represent different eras and different kinds of music that I like, rather than specifically the album itself. But I guess from one, it would have to be the Beatles, because I'm a massive fan of the Beatles. I got into the Beatles in sort of 1978 when for some reason I bought the Hunter Davis biography of the Beatles, and I started to read that. And it's all about these lads who buy guitars and become massively famous, as we know. And so that's exactly what I tried to do. I kind of bought a guitar, learned the guitar with my friend Simon as well. He bought a guitar at the same time. And we were both really into the Beatles, and we both started writing songs. So, the Beatles really influenced me to do that, and millions of other guitarists and performers on the planet as well. So one would have to be the Beatles. So I guess I'll choose Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, because I think that's probably the best album they did from sort of beginning to end.
Totally agree.
Yeah. And then when I was in my teens, I was very into sort of prog music, particularly Genesis and Yes. I was actually into punk and prog at the same time. So I was really into the Stranglers, the Sex Pistols. This was sort of 1977, 78, 79 time. So it might have been a bit strange that I was into punk and prog at the same time. But chatting to people now, that was pretty normal, I think, actually, back then. You just didn't know it at the time. But I was really into prog and particularly Genesis and Yes. So I'm going to go for Genesis, because I saw them many times in the 80s. I actually saw them on the penultimate show in London a couple of years ago. So with Genesis, I'm going to go for Selling Them by the Pound, because again, I think it's probably the best album from beginning to end. Then the third one would have to be something by David Bowie. Now, when I was 16, 17, I really got into David Bowie, such an amazing artist. I hung out with a bunch of kids who were also really into him at that time. So try to pick one of his. It could be Hunky Dory, but I've gone for Ziggy Stardust, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, which again is just a brilliant album. And then finally, a little bit later down the line, when I was sort of in my 20s, I was a bit more into indie kind of music, and particularly REM, early REM albums. I had a sort of part-time job at the time as I was at college, but I was in the evenings and weekends. I was working for a hot air balloonist. A good friend of mine called Gary Whittaker was flying a balloon, and I used to drive the truck basically that picked up the balloon and picked up the people. And I'd always have REM, one of their early albums, Fables of the Reconstruction or Life's Rich Pageant. I would have it in the car very loud, driving around a beautiful area of the UK called the Yorkshire Dales. And so I'm going to pick REM. So the album from that time was probably Green, So it was really before they really got famous. But that's the one I'll pick. And I saw them on the Green Tour in 89, 90, something like that. So that's a great album as well.
Okay, I know that was hard, but this is going to be harder. Out of those four, which is the top one?
Well, I think I would have to go with the Beatles, just because they were so sort of influential for me, and still play the Beatles. My kids like the Beatles because I've been playing it to them since they were little, and we still play Beatles songs in the band. We play Dr. Robert from the Revolver album. So we'll go with Sgt. Pepper.
What are some of your favorite movies or series, like TV shows?
So when I get asked this song about my favorite movie, I always say Annie Hall, the Woody Allen movie from, I think it was 1977. I just think that's a fantastic movie. I think Woody Allen is a complete genius, and all these films from around that era were fantastic. I actually went to see that film with my friends, Paul Entwistle, I think Bill Fairfile as well, when we were at school. So we were only 13, and actually you had to be 14 to see it because of the certificate. So we shouldn't have got in, really. But what we did, we went straight from school on the bus. We went to the cinema, and we took our books with us because we'd just come from school, and we'd crossed out class 5 or class 4 or whatever it was, and crossed out the 4 and put 5. So when the guy said to us, well, you guys aren't 14, we said, look at our books here. It says class 5, that means we're 14. I think he just let us in because he thought we were so cheeky doing that. I'm sure he didn't believe us. But anyway, we got in to see Annie Hall, and I'm sure we didn't really understand it. It's quite adult themes, and we were only 13, but I watched it a lot again since then. And of course, Diane Keaton died recently, so I was really thinking about that movie, and probably we'll get to see it again pretty soon sometime. So it's a fantastic movie. In terms of TV, I'm not actually a massive watcher of TV day to day, but I do some of the box sets type stuff, watch those with Lynn, my wife. And so things like Breaking Bad, we really enjoyed, and Better Call Saul. And more recently, we've really enjoyed Schitt's Creek. And we're just kind of watching Severance at the moment. So they're all really good sort of box sets.
Coming up next, we have Giving Up by the Gerry Farrow Band.
Sometimes I rock, sometimes I hurt, yeah. Sometimes I try too hard to analyze, to find some hidden meaning in your words. Has been done, though I can't speak for everyone. I can't be who you want me to be. The jury will decide an angry vote for every lie. The black cloud is falling, giving up. Giving up. Sometimes I rock, sometimes contrite, yeah. Sometimes I try too hard to organize, to find some common ground in all our lives. Tired of all the noise, of hearing the sound of my voice. I'm tired of all the pain and finding out I've made no gain. giving up.
Yeah, so this is actually an old song that I wrote when I was in Northern Quarter. We didn't play it that much live as Northern Quarter, but I felt we hadn't done the best version of it, particularly in the solo part of it, where I played a sort of very simple acoustic guitar solo. But in the Gerry Farrow Band, we have a secret weapon, which is Rob Bullock, who is absolutely amazing lead guitarist. So I thought it'd be worthwhile redoing this track and kind of giving it a second lease of life. And it's actually become our biggest streamed song on Spotify. So some people seem to like Giving Up. We play all our gigs. So yeah, I'm glad we redid it.
Do you have any advice for either a younger you or younger artists trying to discover themselves and make it as an artist today? Well,
I think, yeah, I mean, for younger artists and the younger me, it would be kind of coming back to what I said earlier about not giving up. You know, you're going to write, if you're writing songs, you're going to write a lot of bad ones. You know, everybody who's written a good song has written plenty of bad ones. So keep going. I think you kind of know inside yourself whether you've got something or not, even though it's not quite there yet. So just keep going with it. And, you know, you'll get there. You'll write something good. What I would also say is, you know, look to collaborate, because that gives, as I said earlier as well, that gives you kind of more breath, more ideas. It gives you some energy as well. I think one thing I would give my younger self some advice would be to, when you're writing songs, you use a capo on the guitar, write it further up the neck. So this, for those non-guitarists, and this is one of those devices you put on the neck, it makes the songs in a higher key. So that means as you get older, like I'm getting older now, I could just like lower the capo or take the cap off completely. I could still sing the songs, even though I can't sing as high as I used to when I was younger. So that's just a practical tip. But I think the main tip would be, you know, keep going, basically. If you think we've got something, keep going and look for others to work with.
Do you have a message for the world? If so, what is that message?
A message for the world? Well, yeah, I think, you know, human beings, Homo sapiens, we've only been around for about 300,000 years. There's a bit of debate about that, but give or take a few years, 300,000, which is not much really in the grand scheme of things. You know, the dinosaurs were around for 170 million years before they got wiped out. So we haven't really been here that long. And we kind of wonder whether or not how long we are going to be here the way we're going, because we've got a couple of traits in humans that they're not great, to be honest. So we've got this climate crisis at the moment. And, you know, I think we just have to accept that we've got a climate crisis. Not everybody does. So the message is we'll accept it. Human beings are really good at fixing things once we get around to it. So some examples of that, you know, we had the ozone layer problem in the sort of 80s and 90s. We fixed that once we got onto it, with the scientists getting going on it. HIV was, you know, a massive epidemic in the 80s, and now it's manageable because we kind of got clever people who can fix these things. COVID is a great example as well. We managed to get a vaccine for that within, you know, less than a year, basically, it coming out. So the message there is really we're quite good at fixing things when we put our mind to it, and I think we can fix the climate emergency as well. But we need to get on with it, basically. Whether we can fix it before some kind of serious damage is done, I'm not sure. But we're getting quite serious here, actually. But the message will be, you know, accept it and let's get on with fixing it. I think the other thing is, you know, we're very warlike as human beings. We're always fighting each other, whether it's on a country basis, neighbouring countries basis, neighbouring towns basis, or even in the same city, rival football fans, you know, fighting each other. So that's not a good human trait. So, you know, probably John Lennon said it better than anybody else. Let's give peace a chance.
Coming up on our final song, A Millimetre Off the Ground, featuring Rainbow Frog Biscuits by the Gerry Farrow Band.
I could walk out of the chaos a brand new day. Escape the noise, escape the fire. I'm a millimeter off the ground. I've never been so high. I need a million people to join me in the fight. A millimeter off the ground. I wish this dizzy height. A million people to sing with me tonight. Tonight.
I could be safe in my own skin. This could be good for my soul. The past is a place I'm at peace with. It's time to fly. Wave goodbye.
Millimeter off the ground. I've never been so high. I need a million people to join me in the fight. Millimeter off the ground. I reach this dizzy height. I need a million people to sing with me tonight. Tonight. So take my hand. Reach is not forever. Don't look back. Better not forever. Better not forever. Millimeter off the ground. I've never been so high. I need a million people to join me in the fight. Millimeter off the ground. I reach this dizzy height. A million people to sing with me tonight.
Yes. So Rainbow Frog Biscuits is an amazing artist, also based in Loughborough. Her actual real name is Amber Beresford. We met at an open mic a couple of years ago, and I was kind of really blown away with her songs, and she liked the band as well. So we decided to do a collaboration. I'd written this song, Millimetre Off the Ground. I sent it to her, asking if she would do some backing vocals. And then, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, Nick, about collaboration. I was just expecting a simple kind of backing vocal to come back. She came back with a whole series of layered harmonies. And actually, she'd taken my voice up to second verse and done her own second verse, which was brilliant. So this was such a great opportunity to play with an amazing artist. And we've done some live stuff since then. We played live together. And so, yeah, a millimetre off the ground.
What is the meaning of life?
I've got absolutely no idea. So, when I was younger, I didn't even really understand the question. Why do people keep asking this question about the meaning of life? As I get older, I kind of understand the question a bit more now. I still don't know the answer. But, when I was a kid, I was really into astronomy. I still am. Now I used to take myself off to the library and be looking at astronomy books. My kind of Facebook feed and Instagram feed is full of astronomy stuff, because as soon as you click on one, then you get a lot of it, don't you? And there's all things like, from the James Webb Space Telescope, which is the successor to the Hubble telescope. So there's all sorts of things going on about how massive the universe is, and frankly, it might not be just one universe. There could be a whole multitude of universes, and you just think how tiny we really are, and what the point of it is really. So I've got absolutely no idea what the answer is, but I kind of understand the question a bit better now.
We got a kind of a silly question now. A pineapple on pizza?
No, definitely not.
Okay, awesome. What are your thoughts on AI in art, like the generated images and then now music?
Yeah, obviously this is a big discussion point at the moment. I think it depends on the level of the AI used. There's a big hoo-ha in the UK this week because BBC, there's a thing called BBC Introducing where new artists write into the BBC sending their tracks. They try and get played on the BBC. And the BBC Introducing last week had a guest artist or a featured artist who it turned out all his work was AI generated. And so a lot of the artists who've been sending music into the BBC are kind of really upset about this, which is right, because we have been spending many hours songwriting, trying to come up with our own stuff. And the BBC is basically promoting an artist that's just used AI for the whole thing. So I think at that level, it's completely wrong. I mean, but if people like it, it's difficult to understand where this is all going. I think there are some acceptable parts of AI, though. If you're coming up with a song and you have, a verse, you're struggling for the next line of the verse or the final line of the verse, you can ask AI to suggest some final lines, and it probably comes up with mostly rubbish, actually, whenever I've tried it. But there may be one word in what it suggests that gives you something or gives you a bit of thought to come up with your own thing. And I think that's okay. And also, and this is a little bit more controversial, but, using AI to generate sort of backing vocals for tracks, I think that's kind of okay because not everybody can afford to have backing singers on their tracks. And if you want to have sort of a male backing vocal or a female backing vocal, make the track sound a little bit more interesting. What you can do now is you can sing it yourself and then get that transformed to somebody else's sounding voice. That's a little bit more controversial, I suppose. But like I say, if you want your tracks to sound more interesting with backing vocals, I think that's a bit more acceptable. So it depends, Nick, on the level, I think, of how much you use AI and how much you're doing yourself.
Do you have any cool or fun stories from gigging? Anything crazy happen?
Well, I guess it comes back to this thing about not giving up on stuff. We did gigs, when we were in Northern Quarter. We did a gig once in Nottingham, which is a big city near here, where literally nobody showed up at all. It was just there was us and there was a support band, and basically the support band watched us and we watched the support band. We were really pleased the support band didn't go home after they'd finished, because we would have been playing completely empty room. So that's an experience. Funnily enough, there was a photographer who we'd got to come along and take some pictures, and there's a whole series of photos of this gig, and you wouldn't think we were playing to nobody because we looked like we're really getting into it and giving it plenty, but there was literally nobody in the room apart from the support band. So yeah, so you learn a lot from that kind of experience, and you take it in your stride, really, I guess.
Well, that's kind of like, everyone who's written a good song has written a few bad ones, and anyone who's played to a packed venue has also played to an empty venue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Gerry, thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing a little bit about you and your art. Please keep making real music.
Yeah, I will do that, Nick. And thanks so much for taking the time to do this. It's been a real pleasure to do it. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Weather's gonna break all over me, from the sun-drenched sky to the winter sea. Can't remember how it was before. Can't ignore the knocking at the door. You just found out what you really came here for, and don't they love to tell you? Are you really heading for a fall? Did you take your eye right off the ball? Well, the look on your face just says it all. You don't think I can make it?